Good evening, and welcome to Drum Talk. And this is part two of my series on electronic drums. And I'm Ken. And today we're discussing the Alesis Nitro. And here's some video of my latest set. And I also had the Alesis DM6 previously, and still have some of the pads on the set. The module got damaged when I moved to my new place, so I'm thinking about replacing it. Though you can find them on eBay, relatively inexpensive. They're about 65 to I think around 125. But there's my other module. That's a Simmons SD300, and once again my mixing board, which I forget what kind it is. Anyway, but the Nitro module has over 45 presets, and I believe almost 400 different patches. So it's quite adjustable. The DM6 didn't have as many features on it, and this one also has pitch control and sensitivity. So it's really quite adjustable. But as I said in part one, the first electronic set that I ever played on was one of the Dynacords, and it was an excellent set. It was analog though. In some ways, though, with analog, if you can still get them, the tones are a little bit warmer. Sometimes with digital, they tend to be a little tinnier, but digitally, it's easier to deal with rather than analog. And in the next footage, this is some video that I took of my set this morning, and it kind of gives you an idea of how I put all of this together. The stands right there are from the my DM6 Alesis, and they're a little bit heavier grade of a stand than what came with the Nitro. And then I also used the tubing from my Simmons set, and constructed all the boom stands off to the side. That's the silver tubing over there. And then there's my three pedals. And then I combined all the pads together. What you have to be careful with, though, is making sure that they're compatible, because some of them aren't. Some of them they've reversed the polarity or back engineered them, so you can't do all this. They're sort of designed to not do this, and to be piggybacked like this. Which, as I said in my other documentary, piggybacking is a term referring to using splitter cables for headphones and then taking one drum and turning it into two, which is what I did with several of them. But as I've said in the past, this does have problems. It drains your conductivity, and the set can play rather sluggishly. So one has to be careful of this. Now with the Nitro set, it has the new the mesh heads rather than the plastic ones, and their response is much better. A lot more. They're a lot quicker. You're able to pick up more notes. I noticed with the especially the Simmons set, you had to hit them considerably harder, and they seem to pick up about every 1 out of 3 notes. So it could be difficult. But there's my keyboard setup too. It's a good idea to have that because having keyboards, you can run them actually into the drums and interface them, or vice versa. And so these are, once again, I always recommend having General MIDI. And the top one, I think I paid $5 for that at Salvation Army, and then use the SH201, which is right there, and then MIDI'd it into it. So actually for $5, I added another keyboard which sounds just like the SH. So And also on my SH201, as you can see, there's little arrows there, which shows the flow. It's on kind of like a flow chart, for lack of a better way of putting it. And that shows the direction that you're setting the keyboard to. So it helps you keep an idea of it. There's the Casio that I have, and I think I paid $47 for that at Radio Shack. So that was an excellent keyboard. The patches on the Casio are actually the same as my Roland's, so it's actually a pretty good keyboard. Casio's really kind of upped its game. And there's my new Ibanez, which I got at a pawn shop. And so I'm able to use all these instruments then along with the my Porta Studio, and you can do quite a bit of work that way. And lately, I've been working with a friend of mine who plays bass. He's a great bass player, Mr. Dwight Dawson. And we've been getting a lot of work done with just my Porta Studio, which is a DP004. And yeah, and we've been laying a lot of tracks down. I mean, you're not gonna do a super high quality album, but it definitely you can get a lot of good sounding tracks, and it gives you an idea of how to lay things out. So one should always have a Porta Studio, and the DP004 is really a good one. It's very easy to use, and also by shopping carefully, one can get things at very very good prices. I'm for my Porta Studio, I think I paid $56 for it, and it gets a surprisingly high quality audio. So you don't have to spend a fortune. I paid 100 for the Ibanez for both of those, and so you don't have to spend a fortune on equipment. My drums, the whole set, I paid over 1,000 for it. It was probably around 600 or something like that. So, and I recommend going to like estate sales and things like that. You can get a lot of equipment that way and build up a pretty good studio for a reasonable price. So, and also my PA system right there, the Simmons, I think I paid 100 for that, and it's an excellent PA. You have to be careful with it though, because even if you have your volume switches off, it can still come through quite loud. In fact, deafeningly loud. It's a very powerful amplifier, and sometimes I'll also use that in conjunction with my Line 6 and run the Line 6 into it, so it gets almost like a Marshall sound. It's a good power amp, but you have to be careful with it though. Like I say, it doesn't have a lot of governor on the volume. You have to make sure that your sound is turned off on the source, and that's always a good thing to remember. And be careful with headphones too, because you can damage your hearing quite easily. In fact, you should always be sure to take the headphones off when doing a sound check if you're not sure of your volume, because you can permanently damage your hearing that way. Or and we've been lately, my friend Dwight and I have been jamming headphones, doing headphone jams because I have an apartment now instead of a house, and I'm always worried about hurting the other person's hearing. So yeah, always take your headphones off. But anyway, I usually like to keep my documentaries and instructional stuff to at least under 7 to 8 minutes, and I see we're hitting about that mark right now. So I'm probably gonna end it with that. I wanted to cover some of the ground that I didn't on part one, but that's my documentary on electronic drums, and there's my lighting in the back. I'm sorry, I use a lot of lighting. I don't like to play in a dark situation. It just seems you're not able to play quite as well. You can't quite see what you're doing. And there's one of the best sticks you can, one of the best sticks, one of the best books you can possibly get, which is Stick Control. And it's by Lawrence Stone, which I highly recommend. And I also recommend the Louis Belson Gilbrine's book, Syncopation Studies. It's like I always say, if you can get through those two books, you can get through anything. And Stick Control is really just an excellent book for developing your sticking and getting it all even and everything. So, and I have videos which I discuss that in depth. But, once again, I highly recommend those books. They're very important. Anyway, I'm gonna probably, I guess I'm gonna end it on that. And thank you for viewing. If you want to correspond with me, you can contact me at my YouTube site, Graphic Graphics, and I'll be glad to share any information that you'd like, and no charge, of course. And I guess that's about it. Anyway, thank you for viewing, and have a good evening.